Welcome, everyone. So nice to be with you. I would like to share with you today a vision of a healthcare system that is based on fasting. And to me, I'll tell you, as somebody who's just like a little bit dialed in on fasting, have a fasting YouTube channel, running a fasting clinic in Wisconsin, um, fasting researcher historically. Okay, I've been dialed in on it. I'm very excited about fasting. This is something I'm really excited to share, and very much look forward to hearing your feedback on this vision, okay? When I talk about being excited about fasting, here's the line that I always try to draw. I think it's great to be excited about things. When we're talking about the healthcare system, I don't know what your experience is. As someone, maybe have you interacted with it? I'll tell you, as someone who worked inside of the mainstream medical system for quite a long time, it is a little bit of a discouraging place sometimes with the cost and the insurance and the politics and the things. I say, you know what we need? We need a positive, inspiring, exciting vision of a healthcare system that is focused on health. We want health and flourishing. We want things that bring life and vitality, things that are free and accessible that almost anybody can do that needs it, right? That's a fasting process, getting to the root cause of metabolic problems, okay? To actually solve problems so that we can experience health in our being. This is the positive vision that would be so exciting. So we're going to move toward it. Now, the thing that is on the other line of that is hype, okay? And even in a fasting space, intermittent fasting, people say, oh, is there hype around it? And people have leaned into it in a way that, to me, makes it sound like it is just an easy street right to the solution. And all you got to do is this is easy. Okay, what I say is simple. I call this channel Simple Fasting. Didn't call it Easy Fasting because, okay, when we're talking about getting to the core of our metabolism, core of our being, it ends up being the core of our emotional state. When we're talking about our relationship with food, okay, that is really serious. That is a deep and fundamental space. And so this channel, I want no hype. I want excitement, positive vision without hype, okay? And the way we're going to do that today, and you tell me if we accomplish it, is the vision. Amazingly, the vision that I'm going to give you today, I think, look at this. It comes right out of the New England Journal of Medicine, all right? Here is this article. Right out of the preeminent medical journal in the United States. This article, Intermittent Fasting, Effects of Intermittent Fasting on Health, Aging, and Disease. This article was published in 2019, and I'm going to use it as a foundation. The researchers, the people who published this, have the vision. We're going to see it, and then use it to enrich our thinking and understanding on this topic. Okay, let's dive in. I put these quotes right here are just out of the introduction of this paper. So listen to how they are framing this, okay? Fasting elicits evolutionarily conserved adaptive cellular responses. So I just, when I was reading this, I couldn't believe when I was reading it the first time, because I'd been dialing in, by 2019, 4 or 5 years, I've been seeing incredible health emerge from periods of fasting. And then this comes out in the New England Journal. I'm like, look at this. This is where I want to sink in with our space here right now. Evolutionarily conserved, okay? A big perspective that I have, okay, to the extent that fasting or so-called intermittent fasting is out in society now, people have said, oh, is it a fad? Is there hype? Okay, in a way, I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, it kind of is a fad. It got trendy for it in certain circles, okay? And that's because there is efficacy in it. people who have been looking for something that works, that is not so much of a struggle, this is the line we're trying to go. Not saying that fasting is easy, but it can become easy. Some people find it easier than others. A thoughtful healthcare system would have processes in place to help as many people find as much benefit from as many different practices as possible so that everyone can flow toward health. When we don't have that and someone finds something, they'd be excited about it. And so easy to criticize something as hype, but is it actually excitement? And there's a line, okay? But I think even that whole wave, even to the extent that there's just genuine excitement that is positive, I think it's missed the truly profound nature of what is happening, what we're encountering in this space, and what people actually, for literally thousands of years, have known about a fasting space, that it can be a healing space, that rejuvenation is present. And so we've been talking about that on the channel going back, even just in our brief experience in the United States. We've had pockets in the 60s, in the early 20th century, people having great efficacy of using this. And we can dive that all the way back through human recorded history. And now we are seeing here, do you get evolutionarily conserved? We're saying not just back all the way through human history. We're saying going back through like mammals, right? And diving deep into the history. Really what we're talking about is foundational metabolic properties of life. Okay, evolutionarily conserved. This is what I'm trying to show you in the biggest space. Like, if you want to build a healthcare system on something truly solid, on a foundation, like how about an evolutionarily conserved mechanism at the core of the metabolism that can lead to health and flourishing in life? Okay, this is what I'm talking. Big vision. Fasting elicits evolutionarily conserved adaptive cellular responses that are integrated between and within organs in a manner that improves glucose regulation, increases stress resistance, and suppresses inflammation. Okay. Like, whoa, all right, we did the talk, my favorite talk, like last fall on fasting and suppressing inflammation. Incredible process. During fasting, cells activate pathways that enhance intrinsic defense against oxidative and metabolic stress, and those that remove and repair damaged molecules. That's the autophagy effect. This is the cellular cleansing and recycling that is like clear when you look at the physiology. The body wants this to be running. Like, what kind of machine, right? If human body, not really a machine, but maybe we can think of it that way. Like, what kind of machine do you build in an entire maintenance cycle so that it can clean itself and repair it so that it can always function, and then you never turn it on? You know what I mean? Like, would that make any sense? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, we have the entire cellular architecture. Every cell in the body has these pathways of damage repair and metabolic optimization. Like, could we start there? Do you see what I'm saying? If we're looking for a fundamental place to say, you know what, the healthcare system having a rough patch, everything extremely expensive, people burned out, and all of this, and most people who are interacting with it not even getting healthier, like if we were going to reset things and we were looking for a principle of health to reimagine things, why not start here? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, why not? Like, at the very foundational level, to say every cell in our body has ways to repair itself, get rid of toxic and broken things, and remake them new. Like, I'll tell you, we starting there. Everything, almost everything else in medicine, and our experience in medicine, is downstream of this. I say it's a very good place to start. It just feels so good. Okay, they go on in this paper. During the feeding period, I like to say during the eating period, because we feed mice, okay? People eat. So during our eating period, you can think. Cells engage in tissue-specific processes of growth and plasticity. However, most people consume 3 meals a day plus snacks. So intermittent fasting doesn't occur. There's no fasting space. Fasting space, the most profound metabolic space in the body. That's why I call this session here for us fasting space, because the fasting space is totally profound, right? And we need it. Like, we need fasting space to run the maintenance processes of the body, okay? Preclinical studies, and stick with me on the channel, many clinical studies too. We dive into the clinical studies. Consistently show the robust disease-modifying efficacy of intermittent fasting in animal models on a wide range of chronic disorders, including obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancers, neurodegenerative brain diseases. Okay, they go through, I'm not going to run through this whole study with you. They go through all of these different conditions, and then just going through the research and the state of things, the review article. So they're just going through, like, look at the state of research on these things, like across domains. Sometimes I've listened to people say, it's like, oh, is fasting the hype because, well, somebody is presenting this as a panacea, right? They're just saying, oh, it's good for this and it's good for that, it's good for that. Okay, and I understand that. There's a lot of charlatans and snake oil out in medicine and people trying to sell things, okay? But, like, let's just look at this space. You're going to sell fasting? You're going to bottle it up, you know? It's not something you can sell. Like, is what is so awesome about it. Like, let's just, like, re-look at what is actually happening. We're talking about physiology in the body. Like, we have bodily systems. Every cell in the body runs autophagy pathways triggered by fasting. Because it just makes sense when you look at the body, see, that there would be benefits to it, like, all over in the body. Like, what bodily system would not benefit from running the maintenance protocols that help it to be healthy? Like, if our goal in healthcare is to create total health and wellness, to have human flourishing on the highest level possible, where the greatest number of people experiencing the greatest amount of wellness for the least amount of money, right? I was like, why not start here? You see what I'm saying? Where it's like, because it has its hands everywhere in the body. Like, what part of our body does the metabolism not touch? The metabolism is the body. The metabolism is the core process of everything in the body running, participating, communicating. This is why this is a foundation that is stable enough to start to build a health experience off of. Both in the health system, okay, we can have a big vision, that's today. We can have our own health process that we build. That's, of course, what I really wanted to bring. We want every person listening. For myself, I'm reminding myself, right? Hey, health starts at home. Health starts here. We don't need, I'll tell you that what's exciting about this to me, we don't need legislation. We don't need politics. We don't need anything other than just people to say, you know what matters to me is my own health. I'm going to build my own foundation. We just remake the whole thing ourselves. Very decentralized, no cost, just health. You know what I mean? Periodic flipping of the metabolic switch. Okay, I love that. This article, when I put simplefasting.com. Have you been there? You see my article, 3-Step Weight Loss Plan, my favorite article. I've got the interactive switch. You can flip it back and forth between fed and fasting state. Really try to get it into the mindset, how the body is working. That as soon as we eat, we flip into food mode. Boom, we're there. But, like, we have to open up space to process through that food, use that energy. Takes 12 hours or so to flip back in, okay? This paper back in 2019 is when I got the idea to make the little switch, because they're just teaching us, wonderful researchers, how does the body actually work? Periodic flipping of that metabolic switch not only provides the ketones that are necessary to fuel cells during the fasting period. Okay, that's taking our body fat, turning it into the type of fuel our body can use, giving us the energy back, right? We gave the energy to the body, flip the switch, let the body give it back. It also elicits highly orchestrated systemic and cellular responses that carry over into the fed state to bolster mental and physical performance as well as disease resistance. And so this is what I talk so much about on the channel, that there is a flow between all of this. Fasting, leading into eating choices, moving into our mental health flowing into our exercise, and our exercise supporting our fasting ability is all connected. Like we're one being, and all these different avenues that we get at it flowing into the same space, which is health and wellness. I'll tell you, fasting just sitting right at the core of it. That's what it is showing here. That metabolic switch. Got to start flipping it. Got to start building a culture and systems that help support it so as many people can do it as possible to get this effect. So important. So much potential. Now I want to flow through into just a couple other points. This one, yeah, I already talked about that one. It's just listing. I just wanted to point again. All these things the paper flows through. We're just gonna gloss over it. I put the link to this paper. You want to go read it. Go to the journal and read all about it. I just want to dive in quick on this chart, and then we're going to key in specifically on the following chart. So look at what this is showing here. We're seeing in the center of this here the metabolic switching, right? This is showing us fed state, fasting state. You see in exercise flowing into that space, periods of intermittent fasting. Here's what it says under it. I'll just read for you. Periods of dietary energy restriction sufficient to cause depletion of liver glycogen stores, right? That's like, we've said that, right? Liver's keeping a little bonus for us, maybe 400 or 500 calories tucked away in there. Power that, keep our blood sugar up if the meal isn't coming right away. Okay, but then we use through that. Triggers the metabolic switch toward use of fatty acids and ketones. Cells and organ systems adapt to this bioenergetic challenge by activating signal pathways that bolster mitochondrial function, stress resistance, and oxidant defenses while upregulating autophagy, remove damaged molecules, recycle their components. During the period of energy restriction, cells adopt a stress resistance mode through reduction in insulin signaling and overall protein synthesis. Exercise enhances these effects on fasting. On recovery from fasting, which is eating and sleeping, then the glucose levels go up, ketones go back down. Cells going through growth again, other remodeling. They shape it here, tissue remodeling, things interacting, right? We're building the system back in a refreshed state. Maintenance of an intermittent fasting regimen, particularly when combined with regular exercise, so important to stay strong. Results in many long-term adaptations that improve mental and physical performance and disease resistance. I just love that this is here. Any medical providers watching, right? You wanna start diving in, go to the journal, okay, and just read through this paper. Look at the long-term adaptations. This is what we want. Improving our insulin sensitivity and heart rate variability, and our lipid metabolism and the gut microbiome, reducing abdominal fat and inflammation, and improving blood pressure, right? It's just like, I'll tell you, this is what I see. I've been following people for over a decade as they're leaning into fasting, and it's like, this is what I see. And then the thing that we don't see on here is just people feeling better as they lean into it, more energy, and saying, hey, this is something I can stick with, which is probably the thing that is the most encouraging. Because like the terrible cycle that we have so many people in is like of dieting, which is not sustainable, where people always feel restricted. And they say, I'm not really pleasant. And they say, I'm looking for the next diet and the next diet. And we buy the next book, and it's like the next thing. And the thing that is the most encouraging to me about a fasting space, the reason that I think and believe sincerely that it is strong enough to form the foundation of an entire healthcare system, is because it can at least come to be for most people who practice it and are supported in it, can come to feel good and pleasant. And it solves so many problems in that people, amazingly, the least hungry when we're not eating. most people find is like when we keep eating, it drives hunger. So there's no patterns. Like the ghrelin levels is like can be up all the time. It's like we think we're eating all the time. All of a sudden, you get into a regimen, whereas like the body understands. We just eat at this time, and we can actually shut this down. That we open up spaces where paradoxically, amazingly inverted. That the fasting space is what decreases hunger, helps bring things into balance. Doesn't our whole society right now, can't you feel it? Don't we just need some balance? Don't we need to bring things down to a very, very basic, fundamental level where we say, hey, we are all human beings here. We all want to be healthy, want health for ourselves, our families, our kids, everybody, okay? And we can have discussions, right, which is extremely important, about eating healthy food and keeping toxic food out, all the processed stuff. We got to do it. But take that process to its ultimate conclusion. How do you keep all the processed foods out? Starting at a baseline, that's the fasting space. We're keeping everything out here. We are not getting in the body, in the way of the body in any way. I tell you, that's like opening up the space for the garden to grow. Give it the conditions. The space can't be choked out by weeds, can't be covered by giant shade trees, right? We got to clear out the space. That's the autophagy space going to be running. The healing space opening up. This is how we get to really root level problems in the healthcare system, in society, right? Is opening up the space. Completely free, nothing required. No consumption required. No cost. Start solving the root problems. Out of the cycle. Problem pill, problem pill, problem pill. Okay, there's a place for it. Like we said yesterday, the miracle of antibiotics. You have an infection. Oh my gosh. Like miracle of science and technology that we can have something that does that, okay? But how about an even bigger miracle? Like if we can use that word in a scientific context. To have such a powerful space of metabolic health, that the body is flourishing, that the immune system is revitalized, that it's fighting in its most optimal state, that you never got sick to start with, okay? We want as much as possible. People are going to get sick. Look, we are, in many ways, small, frail people, fragile is one way to look at it. We come and go, okay? The other way we want to look into it, dial into the most strength that we possibly can. That's a human being. We are strong, capable, powerful. This is the type of process, a fasting space that leans into that side of it. That actually there is fundamental power in the human system, and we can unleash it in many ways to promote the most health as possible. And you say it's not like, oh, the panacea, like you just do a little bit of fasting, you're never going to get sick again. See, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying this is a tool in the toolkit of health. It might be one of the most powerful tools that we have and has been completely neglected, right? This is what we need to do. When it's gone from an entire culture that has criticized it and looked down upon it, as you say, how is this going in our society? Are we flowing in a good direction in metabolic health? What if we inverted this? Instead of completely ignoring one of the fundamental processes of the human body, what if we actually made it the baseline and said, hey, which is what I believe, which is that most adults, unless you are underweight or pregnant or something like this, right? Look at every video. I got all the disclaimers, right? And all the contraindications. The biggest contraindication of fasting, you just don't want to do it. Fasting, a voluntary process. But what if we opened up that space in the healthcare system so that everybody was running the body with some maintenance mode so that like everything, all the blockage is cleared out in the metabolism, right? This is the vision. This is what I really want to show you in this paper, okay? This is the next slide. This is their actual vision. Let's see it. All right, I want to read through this for you. There we go. Okay. This figure 4 of this paper, incorporation of intermittent fasting patterns into healthcare practice and lifestyle. To me, this is the vision of the foundation of fasting at the base of the healthcare system. Look at the slide. In medical education, okay, in basic science, right? Physicians, dietitians, nurses, in family practice clinics, internal medicine, pediatrics, cardiology, oncology, psychiatry, just everywhere, right? Lifestyle change centers. Now, this is what I'm really talking about. Look at that over in the corner. Lifestyle change centers. This is probably in the big vision, what I see my clinic, hopefully, turning into. Inpatient centers, I'm going to be diving into that. We got at least one of those in the country. Dr. Goldhammer going to be reading to you some of his papers. Inpatient centers, people helped in the most incredible ways. Outpatient centers where people can go, support to do this. These researchers showing, if you believe, if you understand, if you see that this is actually the foundational part of health, a foundational part, along with every other good part of health, that we are trying to optimize our metabolism, and that by getting our metabolism in order, that we can avoid almost all chronic disease, most chronic disease. Think of what that looks like in the medical system. Think how many problems it will solve. Yes, the health problems, but then the economic problems, the insurance problems. What is the healthcare system going to look like when so many less people need healthcare? You know what I mean? It's so exciting to think about. We want to move toward this. Listen to how they describe it. As a component of medical school training in disease prevention, and then I would add, everybody else, MAs and nurses and everybody. Nurse practitioners and NPs and dietitians, everybody, as a component of broad health training in general, I say, in disease prevention, students could learn the basics of how fasting affects metabolism, how cells and organs respond adaptively to fasting, the major indications for fasting, obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. How to implement intermittent fasting prescriptions to maximize long-term benefits. This is what we really want. Physicians can incorporate fasting prescriptions for early interventions in patients with a range of chronic conditions or at risk. See, this is where we really optimize things. Don't wait till somebody gets sick. Keep it from happening, right? This is the real healthcare. Particularly conditions associated with overeating, sedentary lifestyle is combated. Let's move against people very, very gently. I say, let's help people. Okay, it's not easy. That's the part. See, no hype. I'm not saying that that's easy. But shouldn't the purpose of the healthcare system be, ultimately, if we can get all the way upstream to help people way before disease even starts? This is the potential. This is why it should be at the foundation. I say it's like pre-primary care. What they're showing here is lifestyle change centers, centers like this. This would be like everybody gets optimized in some, and it should be a beautiful space, right? It should be ideally in nature, and there should be music, and it should just be positive and exciting. Everybody goes there is like going on a wellness retreat. People come in and feeling so much better. And then you go out from there, once you've had this incredible experience and all the positive energy built up, and you say, I'm moving toward health. I am crushing my wellness path. Then you go into regular primary care, and you can get your pap smear and your check a PSA or whatever, get everything else done. You fall down and sprain your ankle, and you go into primary care, and they help you out. See, but we have put the whole focus first on making sure that everybody is just as healthy as possible, instead of the current setup where it's basically an afterthought, and we're just going through and trying to check all these boxes so that insurance companies aren't angry. And then we hitting metrics, and we've reduced the entire experience of primary care into just a series of numbers, and we're just increasingly treated like robots. And we say, this cannot be the optimal environment for human flourishing, right? And this is what we want healthcare to be about. Creating the optimal environment for human flourishing. Let's make that the basis of an entire healthcare system. How exciting would it be? Let's build it. One can envision. See, this is the vision. It's not my vision. I'm just going to read it right off the New England Journal. One can envision inpatient and outpatient facilities staffed by experts in diet, nutrition, exercise, and psychology that'll help patients make the transition to sustainable fasting and exercise regimens. Covered by basic health insurance policies. Wouldn't that be incredible? We have health insurance that cover $100,000 drugs that don't even work for, dementia, okay? You could construct a facility almost for the cost of one ineffective Alzheimer's drug. You know what I mean? It's just insane. Like the amount of resources that we have here. We don't even need many resources to do this. We do this right now. I'm doing this right now. I'm helping people do this right now for practically no money in the grand scheme of things, okay? And in the middle of $1 trillion healthcare system, soon to be a multi-trillion-dollar healthcare system. The amount of resources that we have to if we were creative, if we opened up our mind, if we got excited and everybody said, you know what, I've had enough of all of this. Let's move in a different direction. And all the money, the billions upon billions of dollars that are flooding every media platform on earth with things to try to get people on $4,500 a month biologic agents for this and that. Okay. Oh my gosh. We imagine if the messaging became in a healthcare system you know what, there's some very simple steps that we can take here. I'm not saying that it's easy, but look, we got places you can go. We got thoughtful human beings going to walk alongside you, help you open up some space so you can unleash the healing potential of the body and experience it right now in your own life. I would love to see a commercial like that on TV. You know what I mean? I would love to have some really excited people, which I'm trying to be. Am I doing it? I'm trying to sell the vision, Say, people, you know what? You can do it. Even if you think you can do it. To help lift people up and look toward the light and lean into every positive thing that we can do. I want a healthcare system like that. I do. And the thing of it is, we're doing it right now. A lot of people know this, okay? And a lot of people working toward it. And so this is our own little space to do it. And anybody who wants it, right? It's out there. The ideas are here. I help as many people do it. Hang out on the channel. Share your experiences, the struggle, the difficulty. Like I said, eyes wide open. I'm not saying it's just easy. I'm not saying oh, you just pop a thing down and everything's better. No, it takes work, right? Everything valuable in life takes work. Something like this, a grand vision of building an entire healthcare system of human flourishing, this is a big undertaking, right? But what better thing is there to do? You know what I mean? What else are we going to do? Just sit around, why not? Give it a shot. That's what I say. Yes, one can envision inpatient and outpatient facilities staffed by experts in diet, nutrition, exercise, psychology that will help patients make the transition. If you don't need help, then don't go to the center. Just do it, right? It's not it is simple. That's what I say. Simple, not necessarily easy. If it is easy for you, then you don't need the center. Just do it. Maybe you want to be a volunteer and you go help people out, As an example of a specific prescription, a patient could choose either a daily time-restricted eating regimen, an 18-hour fasting period, and a 6-hour eating period. I love that as a place to start. That's level 1. That's what I say. Perfect. And you could ease into it, and you'd be very gentle with people. Say, hey, ease into that. Doesn't have to be anything super intense. Start wherever you're at and build it out. Or they say pick a 5-2 regimen where you're eating more normally and then having some more intense fasting. Also wonderful. Lots of different ways to think about it. It's like choose your own adventure. I would love that. We should be doing that. Can you imagine doctors writing prescriptions for that? I would do that. I take out my prescription pad. I write people. I say, try eating like this, and then come back to a visit. People are like, oh my gosh, I could do it. I lost some weight. I was like, do you want to stick with it? It's Somebody who finds something, say, I switched into something. I was like, started just having my coffee in the morning, and I felt great and realized I could flow through that space pretty comfortably. And then I have a tasty lunch. See, I've already done the hard work. I let fasting do the work. Now I don't have to have a baby meal. See, I can just have a normal meal. This is sustainable. Would you agree? Do you feel that way? As opposed to the standard mindset where it's like, never eat as much as I want, always having to watch what I'm dialing in. What if it was too much? And then it could always be less. And so then you can start guilt tripping yourself. See, there's so much bad psychology that in a standard dieting process. Body is built to eat meals. This is a framework that lets you eat meals that taste good, that you say, I love that. And then you do the hard work in the fasting space, but you just flow through it. To me, the ideal weight loss process, the ideal practice is a flow state. We're just flowing through it in a joyful, positive way. It's pretty much the only way that you could make something sustainable in the long term, or you get sick of it and quit. Which is what happens to most people if they aren't really loving the process. Gotta love the process. This is a process that you can love, I'll just tell you. You can come to love it. Look what they say here. A 4-month transition period to accomplish the goal. That's what the center's trying to do. Take people in for 4 months. Super support them for 4 months. I love that. This is like the opposite of hype, right? This is real. This is telling people, hey, let's take 4 months and try to get you in a space. That's just the first step, right? The hype machine that is like modern marketing, try to sell you everything, like just take this, all your problem going to be solved 2 months from now. A thoughtful thing, in the New England Journal, some researchers coming to you, what is a reasonable process, say, let's take 4 months just to start. You know what I mean? And I love that. I usually get people coming in, I was like, let's make a 2-year plan, to take the pressure way off. By taking the pressure down, we open up the space to allow the body to adapt, to build skills and processes, because we want to win the long game, right? So we talk a lot on this channel about compounding, a geometric process. A lot of gains come down the road. You got to build the foundation. We start compounding. That's what we're doing in that 4 months, like they're saying here, building the foundation. So that here, okay, now we hit our goal, and we're just at that. That goal becomes the inflection point. And then we're on to better and better. To facilitate adherence to the prescription, the physician's staff should be in frequent contact with the patient during the 4-month period and should closely monitor the patient's weight, glucose, and ketone levels. I tell you, the frequent contact, I got to tell you, it's like keeping it top of mind. Is it a priority? Is it important? Having systems to do it, I think is very important. I think it is very important. I got to tell you, look at all my disclaimers. Okay, look, I got the disclaimers in here. I'm an internet guy. Okay, I have no idea. I'm in my little studio here talking to the camera all by myself. I'm creating a resource for people. Okay, but we try to interact, say hi in the chat, but I'm not managing anybody's conditions. We're not running a clinic here. I have an actual clinic. It's in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. I do telemedicine. I'm licensed in Wisconsin. Are you one of my actual patients? Come talk to me, okay? That said, okay, the research shows what the researchers say. The people who have the most success in the long term with any weight loss process, whether it's not fasting or anything, any dietary process, any exercise process, whatever it is, research would suggest the people who have the most success are the people who have the most contact with whatever program they're doing, right? The most support, the most human connection, the most keeping it top of mind. Like if you went into a spot once a month and that kind of refreshed and kept you on the track, who's going to do better? Someone who does that or someone who comes in like 3 days a week, right? And is having that. And this is one of the ideas that I have on the fasting space. This whole session is like, okay, look, we don't live in this ideal healthcare system. It hasn't been created yet. It's like all these things. You say it would take incredible amount of thoughtful, diligent work to do. I'm all in on doing it. I want to do it. Let's, come together. Do you want to help with it? Send me an email with your ideas. Let's all work together. Okay, but before the realization of that, giant insurance companies not going to just disappear. HMO is not going to suddenly start killing the cash machine by trying to help everybody just be completely healthy with thoughtful things. Okay, but who cares? Look, if the evidence suggests that keeping things top of mind is good, look, you got contact right here with somebody who wants to bring that vision into reality. You come into a fasting space, grab a coffee. We talk about this stuff, And sometimes we do kind of more academic type talks like this, look into medical literature. Sometimes I throw on some pleasant music. We chill out. We talk about like really artistic stuff, which is like the big root of this. What I would like to see people in these vision of a fasting centers doing is talking about the creative aspect of a human being, about how we're not some sort of robot. And in fact, we can dream and envision things. And the one thing that we get to create, if nothing else, if you're like me and you didn't pick up a paintbrush since you were in like kindergarten, until one day last year, I said, I'm just going to paint something. I went to an art supply shop. I tried to paint some stuff. It was not very good, okay? But I had fun, and it inspired my kids to do some painting, and so we all had fun, okay? But the thing we can for real create, okay? We can create our expression of health. We can take every piece of good advice from every artist who's ever tried to create something. It's a challenge to create something. It's a challenge to create the healthiest version of ourselves in a world that is so dysfunctional. Human beings never had to deal, honestly, with the challenges that we face. Synthetic food that looks real but isn't, food that is inundated with secret forever chemicals and microplastics and the stuff that is damaging the hormonal structure of our body. Like, that is messed up. That's like living in a sci-fi novel. You know what I mean? Like, oh man. It's like, to be healthy in a space like that, to move forward despite it, okay, that is a challenge. We need to come together, support each other. We can do it in this space. Just invite you. Come hang out. Share your experience. Share the positives, share the difficulties. Eyes wide open to the reality of all of it. We celebrate the wins and we work through and we sit in the space of the difficulties. So I just offer it to you. We replicate some of the benefits of this studies right now just on a YouTube channel. Swing in right now, center the thinking, center the mindset in places that are truly positive and healthy. I know this is what I'm trying to do. Maybe the most important things, I say, like the foundation of a healthcare system can be fasting. I really think it can on the physical level. The physical space of fasting, I always love to point out, mirrored very closely into the emotional space of a meditation, right? That as we are opening up physical space in the body, we are coming into contact with that same spot. When we open up mental space, we shut off the distractions, we turn off the phone, we get it out. We say, I'm going to have just some space for myself here. Can be very hard in this society to do because, like, even now we're using technology for a good purpose. I think it's really good. But then also we can get stuck in the phone, stuck on a screen. It's like we need some space in order to let that stimulation level come down a bit. And then we find into that same space. They say, oh, some thoughts coming in here were not always pleasant with us. I want to go back, right? We can get, the dopamine is flowing. We can develop an addiction to anything, a phone, a screen, a feeling. We want to really get into fundamental health and healing spaces in the body. Say, can be a little uncomfortable to go into that space. Fasting going into that same space. We like to fill that space instead of just sitting with ourselves. Say, so boring. We're in a culture says don't tolerate any boring. We can fill up our existence with every type of distraction, okay? Food can certainly flow into that space. A big thing we're trying to do on the physical side, say fasting space, create barriers, insulate this really valuable space. I hope I've showed today Really valuable space, incredible physiology, powerful physiology of health in the body that we need to start really reimagining, using the power that is present, available in all of our bodies, everywhere. It's like lean into health, okay? Powerful space. The same power that is fasting space in the body is the same power, the same concept at least, of what a open meditation space is in the mind, okay? Do you struggle with anxiety and depression, discouragement, anything like this? Whereas like, look in the body. Fasting is giving us the mirror. It's showing us the perspective. You want to dissolve dysfunctional proteins, chop up broken cellular structures, and rejuvenate them and cleanse the system. Okay, the fasting going to help you do that. Do you have dysfunctional thoughts? Right? Is the mind jammed up? Do you experience that racing thoughts and anxiety, worry? Opening up the space, that's like fasting space for the mind. Space to let that out, release it, just like we're releasing the energy that we don't want anymore in the body as burning through body fat, help us lose weight, feel lighter, okay? Open up fasting space, meditation space in the mind. Let the mind release all these stored thoughts and negativity, burn it up, release it so that we can feel lighter. This is the parallel between the two. That's why I loved in the vision from the researchers, they got the psychologists right in the center, right? Like we need it. Like, I'll just give you some more visions, okay? When we have a system like this and we do our best replication of it now, that's like, this is like the 0.1 version, you know? That we're running this ahead of time. We're building out the protocols. When we get into a space like this, I was talking to somebody yesterday, I was calling it metabolic psychology. I love that. I love it so much. We need metabolic psychology in like every clinic in the country, you know. But I kind of view my clinic that way. It's like metabolic psychology. It's like we're getting deep into the metabolism. We're bringing in every effort to help support our total well-being and mindset. Listen, when we're way upstream of this, just take a few minutes to think about it here with me. If we have gotten so far upstream that we help someone who is pre-diabetic and gaining weight, and then we help them flow in a direction through these processes that we say maybe they went in a beautiful center, and then they lost weight and the insulin resistance diminished. And now they're not even pre-diabetic anymore. They never even had to go on metformin, right? Okay, think of everything that is downstream of that, because think of the cascade. Then we know, okay, people with type 2 diabetes, like twice as likely to have heart attacks. Like when we get way upstream, the cardiovascular disease is the leading killer of people in this country. Think how much cardiovascular disease does not ever even happen. Like, isn't it amazing to think about? So think in that fasting space, the autophagy space, like every cell in the body, including the vascular endothelium, right? The beautiful, soft little lining of all of our blood vessels. How about some autophagy space for that? Remember in the inflammation talk we did, we were seeing inflammation developing in the lining of the blood vessels, and the macrophage is coming in and they're jamming in, like all the cholesterol in there, building the plaque. That the plaque is actually an inflammatory process. Okay, and we're seeing in this study is showing, okay, we're getting way upstream. The inflammation is coming down. Can we prevent the vascular disease even in the first place? I tell you, you can. Everywhere we can go along on this. Every type of arthritis, from autoimmune arthritis to actual osteoarthritis, is all inflammatory at the root of it. We saw in there. And so as we're getting upstream of that. Think in this society. How much orthopedic surgery do we have? Spinal surgery, joint replacements that are all downstream of these processes. And if we help people to optimize their weight and metabolism and keep the inflammation from running amok in the body for decades, how much money? I mean, how much are we charging for knees now? 30 grand, you know? The amount of money that are flowing. Can we get all the way upstream of it? so incredible. Like, just the idea that we are not absolutely pouring our resources into a place like this. We have got to be doing it. What do you think? Have I given you a vision? Do you think, have I given you a vision? Do you like it? Do you hear what I'm saying? What do you think about it? I would love to know. What ideas do you have? What is your vision? What is your vision of it? Then when we're doing all these things, when all this stuff is upstream and so many people so much healthier, how much pressure has come off everything? How many healthcare providers going to be so much less burned out and finding more joy in medicine because people doing better, and then they can devote all of their time to helping the people who really need it, the people who can't, do this. I'm not saying everybody's going to be able to do it, but we help as many people as possible to have as much benefit as possible, and then we free up all the resources to do every good thing for everybody, and we use every other piece of technology and good things to every best purpose. But I tell you, it's going to be a lot more affordable. A lot more. I'm going to end our little talking on this with a quote from my favorite little bitty book. Open your mind, open your life. Okay? Love this book because sometimes the biggest ideas, the best ideas, they come in small little things. This is fasting, right? It's a very tiny thing. It's so tiny, it's actually nothing. It's nothing, okay? Very tiny. Yet I'm telling you, in this space, you build an entire healthcare system on it. A man found a long stretch of beach upon which hundreds of starfish had been stranded by a great storm. He observed a boy cupping starfish in his hands. One by one, he would gently place them back into the sea. The man asked the boy, "What does it matter? You'll never save them all." The boy smiled. "It matters to the ones I save." I just love that story. I pick that because it's like, okay, it's all great to have grand visions. You say, but we are here in the reality of the situation where nothing like this really exists except for these tiny little things, okay? But this is okay. Look, this is the story. Like, this is us here. We just got one tiny little starfish, and we're just trying to set it back in the ocean. You know what I mean? We cannot be overwhelmed. Sometimes I feel this way. Do you ever feel that? Overwhelmed by the scale of the problems and the difficulty and the challenges and the dysfunction of this present moment. Look, you can't save every starfish on the seashore. We just do what we can. We don't have any responsibility to do anything other than what we can do with our one small human life. We come here, we take the starfish that we can, and we put it back in the ocean. Let's put as many starfish back in the ocean, starting in our own health. What does our beach look like? That's what I would say. Like, where are the areas where some storm came through? There's been collateral damage. There are things that need to be put back into order. Like in our own, let's get our own health in order first. I love a talk like this, the grand vision, bring it back right to our own thing. Our own beach on the seashore. Let's start putting some starfish back in the ocean, okay? Maybe that's opening up some fasting space, taking a walk. Taking one processed food item that you would have eaten and not doing it. See, all this stuff, we can have the grand vision, is incredible. Love it. That's like climbing the mountain, looking to the horizon, having something that can lift ourselves up into this beautiful direction. Then we ground ourselves here in this present moment, right in this space. Do the things that we can in this day. Take one step toward that vision. We'll be healthier at the end of the day. That's my challenge to you. Be healthier at the end of the day. Quick note for people coming through. Of course, I am live weekdays, 8:30 Central Time. I am going on a mini vacation for the weekend. Going to do some cross-country skiing up north. And so Friday, I will be out skiing. Tomorrow, I have filmed a video for you. Sometimes I have loaded it where it can play live through that cycle. I'm trying a feature through YouTube where it's going to be like a premiere. You'll see a link on the community tab. It's still going to be 8:30, but then it's going to come on the video side of the channel. It's brief. It's short, about 5 minutes. Dial in some really beautiful moment of health. Check it out afterwards. It's going to be on the Fasting Space playlist. A really thoughtful space. If you're looking to center the mind, I think you'll really like it. Thanks for sharing this space with me today. Have a beautiful day. I look forward to seeing you again next week.